Today in this video, well, we're going to be going over hard mode, at least. It's like kind of a guide, kind of my own group's performance in here. I'm not going to talk too much about the trash because realistically, you can take the trash as slow as you want. There shouldn't be anything really dangerous. Now, there are a couple pulls that the tank wants to be careful of. This first pull in particular, there's a lot of these security guards that have their hard light baton buff. It can be purged by things like shaman or mages, but for the most part, this is a pull that you want to take careful, but honestly, just pulling a couple packs at a time is probably the way to go. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of skip through this kind of video. This was actually done on Tuesday, like earlier this week. I had been debating on doing a kind of guide slash commentary because I felt like there was a lot out there, but you know, I got nothing to do for a few hours, so I might as well record myself talking about this. So let's skip ahead to actually the first boss. Now, the first boss, the main mechanic is that the mini boss is now active with the boss. Now, there's two ways you can go about this. First off, you can just lust it and nuke the mini boss as fast as possible. But the other thing you could do is if you tag the mini boss and you run out of the room, it'll reset the boss, but it won't reset the mini boss. So what this allows you to do is basically do it just like you would in a key. Now, the only thing you have to do is you have to pay attention to these rift blasts. So my DPS and healers run very, very far. I'm going to stay a little bit closer, but basically we want to not AFK because the rift blasts spawn on players. And if you are AFK, you'll get killed by these. So everyone still is paying attention. We're eventually going to get him out of the room. The boss is going to reset. And now we're going to do this guy normally. So obviously you're going to dodge these rift blasts. There is a cheese you can do by standing in a specific location on top of boxes to force all the rift blasts to spawn in the same direction. It's a little scary because it's like on the wall. So if you fall off, you're going to die. And obviously that's GG's then. So I wouldn't risk it. Just play this normally. And then the only other thing is this empowered glyph needs to be kicked. So one person needs to kick, and then the radiant pulse does a little bit of AoE damage. And so that would all be happening during the boss fight. Now, if you lust, you burn this guy down. As long as you kill him before the first containment cell, you're good. Now, what's fortunate about this comp is that every single player in here who can get targeted by a containment cell can immune it. So certain classes that can immune it. You have Death Knight, you have Rogue, and you have Warrior. Hunters can also immune, and I believe mages who are playing Ice Block. So mages can go Ice Block for this fight specifically to be able to immune the containment cell. And now this fight is basically just normal. So we're still going to immune some of these containment cells because we might as well. It's like free damage, but we get to just hit boss. We remove a mechanic from the fight. So the way that Warrior does it is by playing Slayer. They're able to use Blade Storm. And during the Blade Storm channel, you're immune to crowd control effects like stuns. And that's what the containment cell is. So the first one is going to be targeting Karad, our warrior. He's going to wait till the last couple seconds. He's going to pop Blade Storm. He's going to immune it. And then the boss is going to go right into a frontal. Now, Death Knights can do two things. They can AMS right before it goes off. And if they don't have AMS active for some reason, they can also just Icebound Fortitude out. Now, Rogues can use Cloak of Shadows to immune it as well. They cannot evasion. Now, if you have any people who are human, like the human racial in your group, they can also human out of it, but you do want to make sure you're moving away from the boss a bit. Anyways, we did lust this boss regardless, and this boss is going to go down pretty quickly, and then we're going to be moving on to the next area. Now, so for us, we have decided that we want to lust this boss, we want to lust Menagerie, and we want to lust, I believe we want to lust the Oasis. Not the Oasis, sorry, the mailroom. We don't need lust for the Oasis, and you definitely don't care for lust on Soazmi, despite what you might think that it's like a hard boss. You have to do all the divide mechanics on the boss and go through like the different shuris and make sure you're kicking. Lust will actually actively hurt you, and it's where we wiped in the first week. Because we lusted, we pushed the boss so fast that he did a bunch of secret techniques in a row, and we ended up wiping to a missed kick. So we're now going to take this, well, I'll talk about it when we get there. So this trash, we're just clearing one pack at a time, kill the hounds at the same exact time or they'll full heal. The Dire Horn does a little bit of AoE damage. Again, any healer should competently be able to heal through this. The thrash damage is minimal, and the Frenzy Charge will charge a random player, stunning all players in its path, and of course, stunning them. Here's that group damage. As you can see, it's Fizdam, so it's to this comp, it doesn't do a whole lot. Nightclaws are probably one of the scarier pulls in here because of the bleed that they apply to players, but again, if you have a good healer, if you keep them locked down, use the defensives, you should be fine. And so now what we're going to be doing is we're going to just be like clearing the mini boss. This mini boss has been significantly nerfed, so he's a little less terrible. Just really be careful of the shock mines, and tanks specifically, watch the power kick. You can dodge it like I did just there, but if you don't dodge it, you're going to get launched. And if you get launched into a mine, it could be lethal. So be super, super careful. Basically, the idea though is that we're going to clear trash until we have lust back up. So right now we're actually going to the Oasis first, doing this mini game because we know that this is a boss we don't need lust for. So we're going to just be able to, blast, and then we'll have lust up for like the mailroom, for example. Now, one thing I want to note is that we are making sure that when we are trading these items, so for example, right here, I'm about to trade our second trade, everyone backs up. My group is like 20 to 30 yards away, making sure that they're not going to get meleeed or threat. Despite having a rogue, despite having a tank who is actively hitting their buttons, we don't want anyone to accidentally melee by the strong arm because that will literally spell disaster. They will die. We know this because we've had it happen in Mythic Plus runs. We haven't had it happen in a hard mode, but because it's happened in Mythic Plus, we just play it safe. It's a possibility in hard mode, so we're not going to worry about it. What's also unique about hard mode is that it's going to get easier with gear. So over the next couple weeks, as people get more Mythic vaults, as we get more crafts, as people start to progress into Mythic, and especially once the Turbo Boost comes out, this is going to be a very easy source, I would say. And I shouldn't say easy, but a pretty consistent source of Mythic tier. Now, what you're seeing me do here is I'm actually pre-guessing. There is this, obviously, a little bit of RP here that we don't like to do. So you can actually guess after you turn in the third trade item. Just be careful. If anyone does it who's not the tank, they will die. So tanks can stagger the damage that this guard does. So right now we're just waiting for the password. Unfortunately, my chat box is covered up because I was streaming this. We get the password and then we get into the Oasis. So they've changed this boss in week 2. So you don't have to deal with 3 waves of ads anymore, or 2 waves of ads. You just have to deal with 1, which is basically the band, the halls of it, like the vampire band. Or whatever. So you want to make sure you get all of your buffs so you get the 25% damage amp. And then you're going to have these guys slowly trailing in. So first you have Verithian. This guy does a ground AoE that you want to move out of. Then you have Hips. Hips is generally the prio target because he does this thing called Drumroll, which does like a burst of AoE damage or sustained AoE damage over a short period of time. Next you have Vilt coming in. This guy doesn't really do much if I remember correctly. So you just kind of blast. And then it's this girl right here, Avail. Evelile, I can't read. She does Screeching Note as well as another cast. So this is like your prio cast, and then you want to make sure you're focusing Hips. Hips just died, so he's running away. And now we're focusing down Evelile. Everything else will just get cleaved down naturally. And then I believe it's Dirt Whistle who does random damage at a random member of your party. So you do want to make sure everyone's topped up. Obviously dodge the frontal, get out of the AoE. And you'll be plenty fine. So this will eventually go down without a hitch, and then we'll be moving on to the regular boss fight, which works just as usual. That was the hard mode mechanic, was that trash pack there. You do still want to respect this fight a lot. Make sure you're breaking the shield properly. Make sure you're kicking Menacing Shout, and make sure, most importantly, that you're refreshing your damage amp buff. It'll generally happen your notes will spawn generally about every 20 seconds. So you have 2 sets to be able to refresh. So if you happen to miss one, you can always use it on the next. So I am using, I believe, like the trumpet or the horn, whatever the front instrument is. And that's normally the one that the tank wants to take because sometimes you'll have to stay in for that suck-in, which obviously can overlap with things like rotten food and obviously the damage of the, not crowd control, what is it called? The suppression spark or whatever. And yeah, we just blast this guy pretty easy, and now we have Lust available. So what we're going to end up doing is we go all the way over to the Menagerie, which we forgot to start roleplay, so this is a little bit of a time loss. And we're going to just blast this guy. So I end up swapping over to Master of Harmony, I believe. Or no, I'm still Shadowpan. Never mind. Master of Harmony is a little bit better for some of these bosses if you have Foresight because you do way, way, way more single target damage. Now, okay, this boss, the main mechanic is that the cadence of the bosses spawning happens much, much, much faster. So you're gonna have to deal with both, like basically 2 bosses at once instead of 1 boss at a time, is normally the cadence that happens in Mythic Plus. So we're waiting till the Astrolite comes down. He's the second boss, and then we're gonna Lust and pop all our CDs, and we're gonna nuke Alcrux. That is the goal here. So here comes Astrolite. I'm gonna provoke him. Now this corner here is a safe spot. You can stack there, and these like dodging orbs don't spawn. So that was kind of a scary overlap. We did get one of the dispels, but then the other one expired, so players should have used the defensive there. They both didn't, neither AMS or Cloak, which is fine. So we're focusing down Alcrux. We want to try to beat him before his next grand consumption, which is the double dodge swirls, which is just a big... It's actually another thing that we ended up dying to in an earlier run on alts. So we want to be a little careful here. Flagellation Protocol is the tank buster. Respect it. I use Dampen Harm here, but for the most part, it shouldn't do too much damage if you have adequate gear. Now, ideally, you have Astrolite die in the corner so the orbs get kind of stuck so people can pick it up easier. You have less chance of getting hit in the room during the Whirling Annihilation, but if you can't, you can't. So as we get this guy a little bit lower, I'm going to try to get him into the corner here. Unfortunately, we get a venting right now. I get him in the corner, but then the flagellation goes off and he ports out. This is not a big deal. Ideally, he's in the corner. But if it doesn't happen, just pull away. I'm going to then attempt to Tiger's Lust Cared, but I don't have it on CD. Actually, I got it off at the last second. And yeah, then you're just going to focus down Gold Fuse. So the key is to really focus down the first guy and the second guy, and you're going to lust this boss because it'll just make it way, way, way easier. Because if you take too long, I believe you can have all three active, which is extremely problematic. And Gold Fuse goes down, and now we're kind of just chilling. I can't remember if we end up doing this fight. So we're going to clear the mail room. We just do one pack at a time. I think we end up AFKing here until Lust is back up. So I'm kind of looking at my trinkets. I'm trying to figure out if I want to play Shadow Pan or not. And yeah, we're just kind of hanging out until Lust is back up. I think our healer took a poop. I took a little leisurely stroll to see what was going on by the Oasis. And then eventually we ended up coming back and pulling the boss. Oh, I was releasing some chickens, getting stunned. And after fucking 10 minutes of waiting around, we finally are ready to pull. We have lots available. We have all our CDs. We pop everything off the bat. Now, the goal here is to kill the boss before the second set of unstable goods. Very possible. So in terms of like how to do this fight, you want to keep this area of the room clear. Like this little like, it looks like kind of like the end of a bone, you know, like this shape you want to keep clear. So you want to try to soak a lot of these circles. Anything on the very edge you can let go off because you could still access these chutes. So we're going to have people like, I can diffuse off stacks. We can also AMS soak, and then removing things with like the dwarf racials is really, really strong. So first fan mail comes out. This can be scary if you have too many dots out. And then we're going to have a money order soak. So the unstable goods is what we're really looking out for. That's going to come out right now. And we're going to identify which chute is open. So the X chute is open. And now the main mechanic here is that you get rooted. So as a brewmaster, as a monk, I can Tiger's Lust out of this. Most of the rest of us cannot remove unless like Carrot pops avatar right as he picks up a package. So I'm going to end up throwing it to myself. And then I'm going to end up Tiger's Lusting. I was like, this is a waste. And then what we're going to do is we're going to throw 2 packages at a time to make sure we can dunk it. And then the rest of the players are going to soak. So we have 3 players who can catch, 2 players throwing, and I can always clear 1. So we almost deliver it in sets of 2 outside of the first one. So yeah. Once an unstable good lands on the ground, it has about 30 seconds before it blows up. So if you know that you can kill the boss in less than 30 seconds on the next set of unstable goods, you can tunnel. If you can't tunnel, play it safe, talk about it beforehand, assign 2 players to throw, and then 2 players to catch. And you can always throw it to yourself if you have mobility. You can throw it shorter. You don't have to throw it max distance. So if you understand how your class moves, don't throw it super far if you're like a priest, for example. Throw it nice and close, take 3 steps to the right, throw it again, take 3 more steps, and you can do it yourself. We actually ended up getting the quality control achievement here for making sure that we pass it to every single player. So kind of cool. Or throwing it to a player, maybe? I don't remember. But now we're going into Soasmi, and we do not have Lust, which is a good thing. The problem with this is if you push too fast, it actually messes up the spell queue where the secret technique or the triple technique will overlap with like a really bad Shuri spawn, or he'll go back-to-back triple techniques, or she, I don't know if it's a guy or a girl, but basically, yeah, you want to take this fight slow, because supposedly they're only supposed to do the secret technique twice. So we also assign people to each quadrant. So our shaman is going to go to blue every single time. Our DK is going to go to red. Our rogue is going to go to, I believe it's the green or triangle corner, and then carrot is going to go to purple. And I'm going to be backup because I have ability to transcend, so I can transcend to a different quadrant if needed. So for example, I have my transcendence set up at green. I can chase the boss if needed, and then I can always transcend back if for some reason we have a missed technique kick. So that's kind of the idea here. Upon pulling, I believe we didn't wait for lust. We just ended up pulling here. We waited for cooldowns, though. We did want cooldowns on the rip. And also the Shuris, we always kind of want to play it safe. Now, this is a little bit tighter. We're going to play a tight circle movement. But after that, we're really going to try to play it safe. So we saw that the far Shuri spawned. We're going to go square and then into triangle. And we're going to be nice and safe. I believe here comes the first technique. So players are waiting. Someone's going to go, or a shaman's going to go to blue, kick. DK's in the X quadrant, and then me and CL are sitting in the green quadrant. So we get kick, 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 and then we're ready to go again. So that's how we spread out. We take a second, everyone kind of understands what path they're going to. They all go to it, and then we all kick, 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 and then we go back to the main quadrant where the boss is at. So here comes a Shuri again. We're going to be taking, I actually didn't see which order we're going to take. We're going to go triangle, I believe. And that's it. And so we should get one more technique in a second here. So here, it's happening now. Here, I'll back up a little bit. So we go through square, boss follows, and then during the Shuri, he's going to port away. And we're going to then identify, okay, he's over there. I could transcend to get the kick. I'm going to actually end up doing that. CL gets it, and then our Death Knight is trying to get to circle, but I'm just going to do it anyways. I got over there. He also got there too. And then everyone's going to come back to where we're at. So they're going to have to do a little bit of leapfrog, but it's not a big deal. Once everyone's back, we're doing the fight per usual, and then the boss will eventually die. Now, one little trick, if the boss is really low, like it is here, you can literally just keep backing up. The room is really, really wide, and you can just run with the Shuri until the boss dies. So that's what we kind of ended up doing, and we should be good here. So clearing, we definitely want lust up for the next boss, so we're kind of just clearing a pack at a time. It's not a big deal. Keeping things close, making sure there's not too much over pulling. The most lethal part of clearing this trash area is that based on the people you're playing with, your graphic setting can be set to a certain setting where it's really difficult to see the swirls under the water. So try to tank the mobs on land. And if you're someone who can't see things underneath the water, don't go in the water. I've seen players get kind of clipped by that, which is unfortunate. So right here, we're going to Shroud. We do have Lust coming up in a little bit. We want to Lust in the second phase of the fight, or I guess the second phase 2, or second phase 1. Holy cow. So we're just Shrouding through. It's not a big deal. And then we'll have Lust come up in a little bit. So the hard mode mechanic for this man is that there's a new ad that has to be kicked, and the console that players channel, no one else can see it but the person channeling. So I'm going to have to read out the numbers. Now, you can do this without comms by typing it in party chat. Normally, players will type out, though they wait for all of the icons to spawn, and then they will put it in chat in that order. They'll make 2 text lines showing which order it's in. Now, the key to this guy, in normal keys, what you do is these purifiers that come out, you CC them, you knock them, and you just blow them up and you kick them. This Lightning Nova will basically one-shot your group, especially if you're under geared. So you want to just prio kick the breaker. The whole key to this fight is cleave boss, kill breaker. Don't ever worry about the boss's health. Just do this as much as you can. So I'm channeling here. So I'm reading this out. Purple, yellow, red, blue. I read them in the order that they spawn. This is what our group agreed upon. It's a reverse U-shape, also known as clockwise. I said it counterclockwise in a recent commentary, and I meant clockwise. So thank you for everyone who felt the need to correct me. It's good. Keeping me humble. I've also seen players type out, they go X, K, N, H in lines, and that's how I guess people think of it like that. I don't know. There used to be a WeCore that would also do this for you. I don't know if it's now private or if people don't use the WeCore anymore or what. But basically for me, I read out purple, yellow, red, blue, and then everyone goes. And then DPS should be focusing on killing these guys. You have a little bit of time to kill them, but eventually the boss will start like growing the yellow holy damage on the ground, which will eventually kill you. So what we're going to do is repeat that. So you're always going to get one of these breakers every single time. And you don't want to CC anything else. You just want to have a nice, good kick rotation on this breaker. It takes, I believe, 3 to 4 melee kicks for. It takes 3 if you milk it out, but it takes 4 if you kick immediately. And it depends on, obviously, lockouts. So that's the entire fight. We just literally focus down the breaker every single time, and then let the purifiers do whatever they need to do. That guy was just fucking chasing down our shaman. And now that the ad is dead, we can CC these if we really want to. So once more, I'm going to read out blue, red, yellow, purple. You can also wait for this to spawn, and you can type out KX, enter, new line, HN, enter, and then people should also know. That's how I've seen people do it in like calmless runs. It really depends on your group and how you want to do this. So yeah, that was that fight. So this trash, definitely respect. These deckhands can still pack a punch with their Super Saiyan in Rage. So when they do get enraged, if you don't have defensives rolling or if you don't have Soothes available, just kites. It's not worth the risk. And yeah, we're now going to clear this whole area 1 pack at a time. Of course, in Mythic Plus, people pull this area a little bit more aggressively. There's no reason to, especially because we're going to be waiting for Lust to come back up for this fight. So we're going to skip ahead, obviously, a couple of minutes here. I think I stick to Shadowpan still. Again, I would make the argument that playing Master of Harmony with 4 sets probably better. Probably. Also, one other thing to note is Brand of Ceaseless Ire is very good in terms of damage, but it's not good if you're dropping stacks. And what I noticed in this run is that because we were waiting so long between packs and between bosses, is that it would actually not do a lot of damage on boss fights. So if you have a better damage trinket, I would recommend swapping to it. So Lust is back up. Now the strategy that we use here, so the Hardmode mechanic is that ads have to be hit twice by the breath to kill them. That doesn't mean that they're immune, though, to taking regular damage. So what we do is we Lust pull right when the ads come out, and we just tank the boss right on top of the ads, and we just kill them. So you're going to see that they're going to get absolutely deleted here. First brute's dead, second brute's dead. The other 2 brutes are like meleeing me, which is kind of awkward. We should have like maybe gripped them over or something. I don't really know, but these ads take a little bit longer to die than we would have liked. And because Lust is still rolling and CDs are still rolling, the next set of ads we're also just going to flat out kill. The boss, or the ads from the fight, they don't do ramping melee hits. They do ramping attack speed. So if they don't hit that hard, at least for a lot of like, because we're playing a tankier composition mostly, you just have to straight up just kill them, and they don't really hit people that hard. I think their autos are about 2 mil, 2 to 2.5, depending on like armor. So if you just focus them down, they eventually die. So you'll see here, the brutes are now pretty low. And look at the boss's health. The boss is already at 50%. So we're looking really good. We're going to basically just focus on killing the ads. Now, later in the fight, we eventually move the boss back to this purple corner. And at this point, we're now going to focus on things like getting slows, blinds, earth grab, earth bind, ring of peace, paralysis, etc., etc. So now we're kind of focusing on CCing where we can. So earth grab gets deployed. I'm going to para one of them. I'm going to try to hit them here with the breath. I don't remember. I think we end up missing one. Or did we get them all here? I think we got them all. Bam. Oh, the one guy still had shield. So I'm going to clash him, get him in. We're going to then just have to start blowing him up. So it did go a little sideways here. But again, if you focus down the ad really quick, just put him in a nice stun like a kidney, just like that, he'll just die. So it's all good. I'm going to then hit these ads with this breath, just in case. This is the hardest set here. We don't have really a lot of cooldowns. We only have Avatar going. I'm going to try to hit them with breath again. We're going to get a leg sweep. I'm going to put a Ring of Peace down for my group. Link gets deployed, and then I'm going to dodge, and we're going to kill them, and then now we're going to be able to tunnel. So first 2 ad sets you kill. Second 2 you try to hit with breath. If not, you just kind of kill them, and it's all good. And yeah, that's how you do Hooktail. Now, of course, it depends on your composition. It depends on your gear level. For us, we were all around 700, and I believe all of our DPS and myself had 4 set. Our healer has 2 set. So again, this trash, very slow. Respect the accomplices tanks. These guys do a lot of damage. I landed a paralysis to make sure that the patrol wasn't moving so we can pull it in a nice, safe spot. Now, funnily enough, our shaman forgot he was running Thunderstorm instead of like the Thunder Shock. So he launched all the mobs into the Starseer. So this pull became very scary very quickly. We have to kick the Ritualists. They do this thing called Unstable Rift. I'm going to land, actually Chicken ended up getting the kick there, but the Ritualists are the key. If an Unstable Rift goes off, you're probably going to die. So be nice and safe. Starseer goes down. We're kind of laughing about it. Like, that's funny, but also we definitely could have wiped there. That's a wipe condition for sure. We're going to kill a Starseer by itself. Finish off this last pack. We didn't need to kill this pack, but I wanted to do it to be safe. Once you pull the boss, there's like a barrier that spawns that unless someone goes really close to the wall, the ads shouldn't get pulled. And then we're going to be going into boss. So what we do is we put down 5 markers to make sure that we have... it's like pseudo assignments. We're in calm, so this is a little bit easier for us to be like, hey, I'm going to go purple, I'm going to go blue. The hard mode mechanic for this fight is that the boss is, first off, the collapsing star mechanic, the thing that you have to soak. It puts a vulnerability on players that makes them take more damage from not only soaking, but also from the dot. So ideally, I think what Blizzard wanted people to do is to rotate people who soak it. But what ends up happening is that your tank can just soak all of them. And at the same time that happens, there's also going to be a suck in. So it's going to suck all the players towards the collapsing star's nucleus, and you want to make sure you're running away from that, because if anyone else gets hit, they're probably going to die. The intermission, and in phase 2, you have to hit all 5 stars with the jolt, or you have to start over. And it'll, like, none of the stars will actually have been hit. At the same time, they also move last second. Not last second, but like they move 3 seconds before the jolt goes off, so you have to reposition pretty quickly. So the markers are going to help us determine where we're going to position. So we're waiting for Lust. Lust is pretty important. Now, personally, we could have probably pulled a little earlier because we want to Lust in phase 2. So assassins are going to come in. Now, you could tank the boss over here by these like crates. I like to have the collapsing star a little bit closer though, so I'm not going to worry about it. Here's the first soak. We're waiting for everyone to be healthy. I'm going to be vulnerable. Now, for a tank, if you're doing this option where you're soaking all 4, use defensives later in the fight. Or later in the soak. So you soak the first 2 without defensives, then you want to use defensives for the later 2. And then your vulnerability debuff will fall off before you have to do soaks again. Now, ideally, you beat the second collapsing star. If you can beat the second collapsing star, you'll feel a lot safer. If not, you might want to hold damage till you do the soaks. So it's really kind of based on your group's pacing. So here we go, we phase. For the meantime, we are going to be hitting these assassins. Now, these stars are going to relocate right before we have to do the hyper late jolts, so it's not a smart idea to try to be near them currently. We're just focusing on getting the ads down. And then we're going to be like loosely spreading. I'm going to generally be going down towards purple. But I see that CL adapted. Now, you don't want to get hit by the line, so I don't want to be sitting right on the star. I'm trying to back up to make sure that they can hit all of them. And now, instead of pulling to the side, we're going to be playing center. And the reason for this is that we want the collapsing star to be a little bit closer for us to soak. It will generally spawn in the middle of the room. And pulling off to the side will also put us in a position where someone has to go really, really, really far. And we have an immobile DPS in terms of the DK. And the shaman ideally wants a plant. Now, unfortunately, our DK got hit there. He wasn't paying attention. His back was facing that star. It's a smart idea to try to face as many stars as possible so you don't have to look behind you. The collapsing star comes out. I'm going to soak 1 immediately. Going to wait for the Nova. And then we're going to soak another one. So this is soak number 2. And then I'm going to pop Dampen Harm, soak number 3. And then we're going to go back in and soak number 4 here in a second. Now, in Mythic Plus, you can generally let the 4th one just expire. In this case, it'll apply a vulnerability to everyone. So we don't want to let them expire. So we need to soak all 4. Now, when you are playing in this area, you want to always dodge towards the first star that pops to give your room more time for the second one. So here we are. Boss is going to phase. You can see the star positions, but again, they're going to reposition last second. So I'm going to shift over. We're all going to kind of shift counterclockwise and do our soaks. And now ideally, we should be able to kill before the next intermission. If not, it's not a big deal. We're just going to do it again. Now this boss in hard mode has a hard enrage. You only do 2 intermissions, and then the boss will gain like a 500% damage amp and just start killing everyone, basically. So you need to be super, super fast on this fight. Holding Lust for phase 2 is probably key, and more importantly, holding it for when you have DPS cooldowns active. So we did Lust, I believe, on Breath and Avatar. And now we know that the boss is low enough that we're going to be able to tunnel. So I'm not going to do any soaking here. We're just going to focus on dodging these far stars. Now they're a little bit closer. We're ideally facing the stars that are coming towards us, and then we're going to kill them. And so that was hard mode. That was our hard mode run that we did earlier this week. Now, in the first week, we unfortunately lost because of a missed kick. Everything else we did in the run was clean, but because we wiped on the 5th boss of the instance, I ended up not, doing a guide or talking about it. Now, funnily enough, I looted probably the worst possible thing that a brewmaster can loot, which was the haste-heavy low crit ring from this dungeon. So I was extremely mad here. I think I was ranting on stream at this point, and then I end up, I believe, deleting it. Because I was so mad at this ring that I just ended up deleting it. So anyways, that was my kind of hard mode breakdown. I know that I'm very late on this, so it's I apologize for that. But if you're looking to go into hard mode, those are the strategies that my group used to finish this run. If you have any questions, let me know down below, and I will catch you all in the next one. Peace.